أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على ما لا نبي بعده سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. ربي لا تؤاخذني مما يقولون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون واجعلني خيرا مما يظنون. أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to the House of Dua. Today we are taking a pause from our usual presentation on the series titled Read. We are taking a pause from that series in order for us to focus our attention today on the event that has swept through the southern parts of the United States of America, especially the state of Texas. I'm sure you're already aware of the big news that the entire southern states of the United States of America have been engulfed by a winter blizzard, a severe cold that was brought in by snow and a little bit of rain, an event that has made the entire area unlivable for our fellow human beings that live in the area. It's an event that is not a normal occurrence in the southern states of the United States of America. These are states that are known for hurricane or tornado or severe heat and other natural phenomena. But the occurrence of snow and a blizzard like this is something new to this part of the United States of America. We have brothers and sisters who live there, Muslims and non-Muslims who live there, many people from other parts of the world who live there. They woke up and found that the entire area had been overtaken by snow and severe cold. So it's important for us to express our sympathy to the people that live in this area and to pray for them and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see them through this severe adversity. It will not be news if it happens in places like Russia or Siberia, or in places like Europe, or in places like the North America, for example, including Canada, because these are areas that this kind of phenomenon are a yearly occurrence. But to the people in Texas and the entire southern part of the United States of America, this is rare. This is unimaginable. This is a severe disaster. And so it's worthy of news. I'm sure if you are focused on the news, you must have seen that this is the central part of the news of the week. The occurrence of a blizzard in the United States of America, especially in Texas and the surrounding states. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as a result of this severe phenomenon, some lives have been lost. Some people have been displaced. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we are not just raising the issue because we want to take joy in it, but we want to see some lessons that we can learn from an incident like this. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear to us, Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ardi waqtilafi al-layli wan nahar laayatin li'ulil albab. The changes in night and day and the things that happen on the planet, whatever you come across, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says these are signs. There are lessons, evidences, proofs, revelations in them. For those of you who have the intellect, who can think, who can ponder, we therefore call on all of us to ponder about this situation and to see the lessons that we can learn from them. Let us look at the experiences of those who were affected by this incident. As I said, many of them did not plan for it. They didn't know how to handle it. They are not used to it. So it came to them like what? Suddenly. The same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that the day of Qiyamah will come to us suddenly, unplanned for. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, from this event, we can see that those things that we used to take for granted are in fact not a right that we are entitled to. They are actually a privilege granted to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your ability to move around, your ability to wake up and find food, your ability to wake up and find water to drink, your ability to wake up and say good morning to your neighbor. These are privileges. Unless they are taken away from you, you will not appreciate that they are privileges granted to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously asks us to remember the privileges that He has granted to us. And for that reason, we should take Him and worship Him alone without partners. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, when this winter blizzard occurred, from nowhere, the trees found themselves covered. The houses were covered. The cars were covered. The streets were covered. And every living object found itself covered, except those who are inside their homes. It was a disaster that no one could imagine. In Surah An-Naziat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked about an event that will happen, a kind of earthquake or a sudden occurrence that will happen. When it happens, its first occurrence is very, very severe, but what follows thereafter is even more severe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yawma tarajifun rajifa, tatibuha radifa, kulubun yawmaizin wajifa, abuswaruha kashiya, yakuluna aina lamaraduduna fil hafira. Allahu akbar kabir. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is an event that will happen, the day of Qiyamah. But when things like that manifest in the life that we live, you begin to actually realize that the day of Qiyamah is inevitable, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared. Allah said there is a day that will come when the shaking will take place. A rajafa will take place. Something that has not happened before will happen. And when it happens, it will be followed by what is known as after effect. That after effect is even more severe than the occurrence of the event itself. Hearts that day will be humbled. People will be shocked and be humbled to their foundation. Then you see faces downcast. People will be hopeless to a level where they will not know where to turn. They will be saying, where are we being returned to? Where is our direction? Where are we going to? It will be a confusion. That's the day of accountability, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. There are several things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say will happen that day. That this event that happened in Texas is reminding those of us who are in Texas that the promise of Allah and the commandments of Allah as contained in the Holy Quran cannot be in vain. As a matter of fact, there are occurrences that will happen. When this event took place, different people responded to it differently. The first thing that happened when the event took place, the snow came down, and what followed it was even more severe. Light went out. Water stopped flowing. People were made to stay where they are. Movement was stopped immediately. Cars could no longer drive. Even on foot, you could not walk. Places of work were closed. Shopping centers were shut down. There was no food supply. There was no electricity. Life came to a standstill. And in some cases, telephone went out. Internet shut down. It was as if one has been returned to the basest of the base. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this is the occurrence that has happened in Texas and the southern parts of the United States. And people are suffering in that area. Therefore, I want you to keep them in your dua. I want you to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them relief as quickly as possible. People found themselves using their car as their habitation where they could find heat for themselves. A sister sent me a picture of herself using candles as the source of energy to prepare food for her baby that has just been weaned from breastfeeding, trying to prepare some milk and noodles for that baby, candles. Others left their home to find refuge in hotels, and they got themselves exploited by the hotels that raised the prices of the rooms arbitrarily. Others find themselves stuck in their homes, could not go to anywhere, using their furniture to set fire in their homes so that they could receive some warmth. What of those who do not have fireplaces in their home? They regretted leaving out that facility in their home plans. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, then you come to ask the biggest question: what about those who are homeless? The southern states of America has a very large population of the homeless people who have no homes to live in the greatest country of the world. Some live under the bridges, some live under the tents, some have no tents even. And so they were exposed to this blizzard, just like the animals in the bush. But the animals in the bush, their condition is better because Allah had equipped them with some kind of skin by which they could be used to this kind of weather. What of our fellow human beings who were not so equipped? So what lessons are we learning from this, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam? That's why we are raising it. It's not as if it's a special event other than what other people have been going through year in and year out. As I said, yes, to the people in North America and Canada and Europe and Russia and the polar regions of the world, this is not a new thing. But to us in Texas, who are used to heat or tornado or hurricane, who are not used to this kind of life, it's a very big deal. Take myself, for example. We have been depending on borrowed water for our wudu to pray. It's more than 6 days I've not taken a shower. I just have to empty some 7 or 8 bottles of water into a bucket to take a shower in order to present this video. This is the life we are living, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. So it's not an exaggeration. It's as if there is Qiyamah here. But you know what? There is no Qiyamah. But there is a reminder to us that Qiyamah is inevitable, and therefore we should prepare for it. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wal tanzur nafsum ma qaddamat ligadi wa taqullaha inna Allaha kabirun bima ta'malun. Oh, you have believed, be mindful of Allah, and take a look at what you are sending ahead right now, and make sure you are sending what is good ahead that will benefit you when you meet Allah on the day of accountability. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, that day will come. And from what we have seen so far in this event, we are reminded of the events that Allah talked about in the Quran that will happen on the day of accountability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for those of us who are believers on that day, we will be lucky to be saved from what he called Zamharid, which is extreme cold. Until this event had taken place, many of us don't know the meaning of that word. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ihsan, Muttaqi'ina fiha ala al-araiki la yarawna fiha shamsan wala zamharira. On that day, those who will be honored with Jannah, the Abrar, those who have done righteous deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they will be housed in houses in which they will not see extreme heat of the sun, nor extreme cold of sunlessness. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we pray that we'll be among those who will benefit from that on the day of accountability. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Mulk asks us a powerful question, which manifested itself to me in this event and to other people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the last verse of Surah Al-Mulk, Ara'aytum in asba ma'ukum gawran faman yatikum bima'in ma'in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you go to bed and wake up the following morning, only to find that your water sources have dried up, whom will you call upon to provide water for you? This is the situation. I wake up on Sunday morning to find out that my water sources have dried up. Where do you run to in such a situation? I ran to borrow water. What if there were no borrowed water? What if the Atlantic had dried up, or the Pacific dried up, and all the rivers dried up, and the entire water pipe system dry up? Whom will you cry to? You cry to no other one but Allah. That's how Allah reminds us of the favor that He has done for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Aman yujibul muqtarra izada fayakashifu su'a wa yaj'alukum khulafa al-ard ailahum ma'ala qalilan ma tazakkarun. Whom do you call upon when you are in a state of disaster? When you have found yourself in a state of hopelessness, whom are you going to call upon other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who is the one that responds to the one who is in distress other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Therefore, do you have any other God beside Allah to call upon? We don't have, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what distinguishes us from the non-Muslims, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. In a situation like this, we have no one to call upon except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But only very little we remember. When we are in a state of ease and we are called upon to worship Allah, only very little we remember of the greatness and the benefit and the favors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had done for us. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, what has happened is like no other event that we have seen in this part of the country for many years. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that events like this are a source of lesson to all of us. And we should be ready to learn those lessons. And we should be ready to turn a page and, worship Allah in the best manner. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as I said, the light went out, water went out, other means of convenience went out. In that situation, what are you supposed to do? You find yourself in a distress. You are looking for help. There's no help. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in the Quran, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. No one who is carrying his burden will seek to carry the burden of another person. That is the situation in which many people have found themselves. No one is able to help one another. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, you will agree with me that in a situation like this, those who will be worst affected are those who, for no just reason, take their life in such a way that they don't plan for the future. They don't plan ahead. The same way we are told to plan for the day of accountability so that things will be easy for us, there are people who are today living a laissez-faire life, not planning for the akhirah. By the same token, in the life we live, there are people who do not even care whether they have enough food at home or they have some other provisions for survival. So when a situation like this happens, who is the victim? Such people are always the primary victims of an unforeseen event. Therefore, a lesson to us is that we should always plan ahead against any eventuality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran that on the day of accountability, when things happen, everybody will be on his own. You will have no one to call upon. And that's the situation in which we find ourselves now. Those of us who even live in the same city cannot know what is happening to other people in the parts of the city. The reason is that you cannot live where you are to go and visit somebody else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yasin, La nasha'a la masaknahu ala makanatihim famastata'u mudiya wala yarji'un. If it were our wish, we will make you stationary where you are. You won't be able to move, and you will not be able to return to any other position. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has the power. As I said, many of us have found ourselves in that kind of situation right now. The cars are not moving. The roads are shut, but nobody has blocked the road, except that they are not motorable. You dare not try it, otherwise you find yourself in a different situation. That is what we are seeing, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. So it's everyone to himself now, God for all of us. That's what it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we shall come to him individually to respond to our own questioning. We will all come. We will come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala furada, alone. The same way you were sent to life alone. That is the situation in which we find ourselves. in the country known as the United States of America in these last few days or weeks. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, but the hope is not lost. The hope is not lost. As I said, the Qiyamah is not yet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whatever happened in life is a lesson for us. The question is, have we learned a lesson? Can you now for a moment appreciate the fact that even the government cannot help you? No one can help you except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, stay close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, when occurrences like this took place, the Sahaba will troop down to the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Ya Rasulallah, what shall we do? What do we do? The Prophet will advise them, glorify Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, amma yushrikun. Glorify Allah and seek His forgiveness. Allah is above every imperfection. Allah is supreme. He is not the one who will be absent. He is the one who can respond to your call anytime. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, amma yasifun. All of you are not able to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means to you. Allah is above what you say about Him. Some of you who want to degrade the power of Allah, Allah is above those imperfections. Therefore, be mindful of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah hina tumusuna wa hina tusbihun. Glorify Allah. Glory be to Allah. At the time of your waking up and at the time of your going to bed. Glorify Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, amma yushrikun. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, when it comes to a situation like this, we have no choice but to resort to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to seek His forgiveness, to ask Him to grant us relief. Therefore, we take advantage of this opportunity to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant relief to the people who live in Texas, who live in Oklahoma, who live in southern United States of America. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them relief from this blizzard that has affected them unprepared. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant relief to every other human being who is suffering on this planet. You know what? Just as this has occurred to the people in Texas, so some other parts of the world are experiencing one kind of phenomenon or the other. It's either fire or earthquake or flooding or absence of rain, drought. It's affecting many people all over the world. For such people, who do you call upon? Who is the one you are going to call upon beside Allah? Who can respond and grant you relief? There's no other one. Therefore, we also remind you, wherever you are, whatever disaster you are facing, we remind you to call on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be close to Him and to glorify Him every day of your life. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, amma yushrikun. Ya Allah, we call on you. Ya Allah, we are your slaves. Ya Allah, we have no other authority but you. We submit to you. We bear witness that there is no other God but you. You alone deserve our worship. You alone is in charge of the creation you have created. Every part of the creation belongs to you. You are the owner of Junudu Samawati wal Ard. The wind is part of your Junud. The earthquake is part of your Junud. The snow is part of your Junud. The blizzard is part of your Junud. The insects, the birds, the human beings are part of your Junud. You can use one against the other at your own pleasure. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us relief out of this disaster. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make life good for all of us in this world. Take shaitan away from our lives. Take our lives far away from the shaitan. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت الغفور الكريم سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك الحمد لله.